Good evening. My name is Brightops, and welcome back to Darkest Dungeon and the Dewpoint Isle Estate. Since last time, we've given our two new heroes names. We have Trevor Yannell, the man-at-arms, and Ben Davey, the highwayman. We've also, as upgrades from the last time we've played, Miss Lana, has finally gone to pray in the abbey in order to help calm down and stress herself out. Well, de-stress herself. And Reynald has disappeared off the face of the earth in order to go on a vision quest. Hopefully he'll come back, but we're not worrying too much yet. He's a grown man, not a dog. Anyway, but with that we've also introduced the guild and the blacksmith, which we can't really do a whole lot with at the moment. Let's see if we can change that. So let's see what's on the agenda today. Okay, so as we noticed from last time, the Weald has opened up to us. We also have access to the farmstead and the courtyard, which we are not getting involved with just yet, because that would be bad. We're simply not prepared for it yet. Now, as you might notice from this little bar here, when you do quests in a certain area, you unlock access to bosses of that area. We will explore that in a bit, but let's see what items we've got. We've got some damage, but less dodge. For in exchange for deeds, we have crests for the stored buckler, Drifter's buckle, which is highwayman, and we've got Book of Relaxation. Let's see well, since we're going to be giving our two new people a shot, and let's see, who would be a good backline? We'll send in Sinister 7 as well. As for who shall be leading this assault, well, Ritz Buns seems to be in a good enough condition. Just wait. And just double check and make sure we're... See, I might make a slight change with Ben Davey, simply because we'll send in serious armor, because I believe he can still operate just fine in third position. We're going to be going to visit the Weald this time. Go somewhere new. Alright, just gathering supplies. We might take an additional shovel simply because the Weald, even if its base setting, has a couple of... It's prone to having graves that are worth digging up. Yes, you heard me right. Let's see, we'll just add that, and I think we're good. And as you may notice, we've got we picked up the blood here from the last mission. We actually stockpile that. Its time hasn't come just yet, though. Now we're visiting the Weald. And the paths are in fact littered with poisonous traps and other obstructions.
Corruption has soaked the soil, sapping all good life from these groves. Let us burn out this evil.
Well, we heard the man. Let's go burn some evil out. And the first step of that is doing a bit of cleansing. So we get some extra food. Wonderful. And here we meet some of the locals, as I'm sure you're aware of our cultists. This is the first time we've met a madman, though, who is very much designed to inflict stress, but we have a new kind of enemy in the Eldrith. In fact, this is a human Eldrith hybrid, the Feral Snatcher. Wonderful. Let's make you a little bit easier to hit. Because these two are absolutely horrible when it comes to stress. And we're better off dealing with that as quickly as possible. Well, on the plus side, at least she will be dead next turn, which is always nice.
The abyss returns even the boldest gaze.
Joy. Yes, we did not bring the item that would be helpful for that, which is unfortunate.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Thankfully, he's dead, so we can't keep doing that. Because as we see, this little debuff, known as Horror, adds stress. Very few enemies can do it, but it tends to be nasty when they do.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
I would like to take this moment to make an basically to go back on something I've said before. It seems that I was mistaken in the fact that if you leave a corpse on the field, you'll get loot. I'm not entirely sure how I came to that conclusion in hindsight. But I do want to apologize for. I did not intend to mislead.
Her death by inches.
Truth be told, it's one of those. It's a mechanic that, if it was in the game, it would make perfect sense. It would fit in with the whole risk versus reward thing, but just doesn't seem to be. Doesn't seem to be a factor. Well, if nothing else, at least the thing is dead. At least this battle is over.
Give them no quarter. Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
And we get some scouting done. Wonderful. Now, what was... I think this is what you needed for this. No. No, that wasn't it either. Well, that is somewhat annoying. And here, children, is a lesson we should that's important to learn. Sometimes the best defense is making sure the enemy can't hit you in the first place.
Slowly, gently.
And
This is how a life
I'm
is
fairly
taken.
certain I just realized I did not actually equip our bounty hunter with his new item. Well, that's annoying. But nothing we can do about it now.
The slow death.
I'll fix that after the match.
Unforeseen. Unforgiving. Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
Ah yes, and our new type of enemy, the ectoplasm, which is completely Eldritch. Unlike the prior enemies, which were kind of a mixture between this and human.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
As I'm sure many of you have realized, these things are slimes. Let's see. I think... Yes, I think I'll go with a plague grenade. This thing seems to be remarkably resistant to blight. Not impossible to work with though, but still difficult. Let's see if we can at least... Yep, these two will be dead on their next turns. Which is always great.
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
However, why should we wait for... Let's see, what do you do? Why should we wait for time to take its course? And... I will admit, the Plague Doctor's healing is limited, but you don't...
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
But truth be told, you don't use the Plague Doctor to heal health. Their heal is more designed to remove blight and bleed. And... Because we used holy water on the altar, Ritzbuns has lost her faithless quirk. She is now able to pray
Nature
and
herself, a victim to
flagellant
the spreading
relieve
corruption,
stress as she wishes to.
malformed with misintent.
Might as well take the gamble. And instead of not being able to stress heal, she is now gain stress when versing beasts. We might as well just go to the room completely, because it's less stress than trying to turn around. So we are halfway done. I will admit this is probably not the most ideal composition for a party we've had so far. They don't seem to particularly benefit from one another. However, it works. At this stage, if it works, it works. But still, as far as our first trip into the Weald is going, it's not so bad. and we get a little bit more blood to work with. As it's, to be fair, okay, another time. We've got things to kill. Now, for those wondering what this thing is, it is effectively a blight artillery. It's pretty much blight artillery. It is designed to try and spread as much blight as possible. Which, while we have the means of dealing with that, we do absolutely have the means of dealing with that. We can be better off just making sure it's dead. It saves us all a lot of time and effort. Ah yes, part of the Men-in-Arms charm is that he can buff the entire party, which can be very useful. Just very useful in general. He also has the ability to guard, which means he's going to be taking just any hits that comes towards Ritzbuns is going to instead be blocked by him. Now let us see if we can finish this little bugger. Unfortunate, but ah yes, as I'm sure you've noticed, the part of the artillery's charm is that it can also mark people, which opens up some new abilities for certain enemies, such as in this case Mark the Rend the Marked. Which, as you can imagine, is not a good thing.
And now the true test. Hold fast, or expire.
Whew! He isn't dead. That we can... It might not seem like much, but... Let us just... We have a use for this medicine this time. And just, if nothing else, of getting him off of death's door. We do not want him to risk dying, after all.
Mortality clarified in a single strike. As victories mount, so too will resistance.
Okay, we're going to sacrifice a bit of food that we brought with us, just to make sure that Trevor can have a better chance of making it to the end of his first trip. Oh, and joy, we've encountered our first beast. Wonderful. Let us see what we can do about that, shall we? Before it has a chance to cause us some proper harm. Well, one is down. For a surprise round, that's fairly good. We at least don't have to worry about...
Such a terrible assault cannot be left unanswered.
And Ritzbuns has become fearful. That's not good. And this is why we bring our doctor with us. If nothing else, we can at least deal with blight. And because Ritzbund's freaked out, she dodged her turn, missed her turn. Not good. And Trevor's... Ooh! That's not good.
Injury. Find it in no short supply.
Whew. Trevor got lucky there. Trevor got lucky there. Hopefully, Sinister will be going before him in order to try and yep, she's going before. Oh, no, 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 no. And Trevor has refused medical help. That's not good. With two people on the party who are currently not having a good day, its stress is going to be building up fairly quickly. Alright, let's try this again. Thankfully Trevor isn't too far gone.
Waits for the slightest lapse in concentration.
And Serious Armor has become paranoid.
The walls close in. The shadows whisper of conspiracy.
He has also gained a disease known as the Fits. Diseases are a bit different from quirks, but we'll see what we can do about them. Okay. Sirius does not want medical help. Thankfully, despite her fear, Ritz does. So that's something at least.
Masterfully executed.
Another thing I have learned, but cannot confirm for myself. I've never seen it myself, but I've heard about it. Is that if you can somehow get someone who's been taken by an affliction back down to 0 stress, they will lose the affliction. I have never really run into this myself, though, so I cannot confirm or deny that. Another room cleared.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
Now let's see who's good at disarming traps. It would seem that Sirius is. Wonderful. Do I have an item that can help with this? No, I do not. And we are also out of food, so hopefully we will not have another hunger check for too long. Let us see what's in here. We've got a bit more gold and treasure we can work with. Yeah. And unfortunately, the only person in the group who is not freaking out is Seven, and unfortunately, Sinister is not far behind. Let's use up the last of our torches to try and give us as much of an advantage as possible going into this final push.
Another abomination, cleansed from our lands.
Now we know for a fact that this last room is going to be a
hand's
battle.
breadth from becoming unwound.
Since we have not our goal is to complete 100% of battles, and we simply have not achieved that yet.
Back to the pit.
I wasn't aware you could dodge being marked. Eh, the more you learn. Ah, yes, the spitter.
Injury and
Spiders are a little
set the
annoying
stage
beasts.
for heroism or cowardice.
Little annoying beast spiders, they're very dodgy. However, they have very little health. So, if nothing else, we know that it's going to die when it starts its turn. So, not the most stressful thing right now, but
Ghoulish horrors, brought low and driven into the mud.
since we no longer have items to help cleanse items, we're gonna just have to gamble.
A fortune, waiting to be spent.
And we have some food. We have some food to work with. Unfortunately, we're going to be very, very dark right now. So this is going to be a fun little engagement. Ah yes, the fun of these creatures. Oh, we have...
clarity in the eye of the storm.
And Sinister 7, unlike their peers, has gained a virtue. In this case, they've managed to become focused. Let's see. They resist blight, but hopefully we can start doing some damage up in the back ranks as well.
Dazed, reeling, about to break.
Let's see, what does Bellow do? Why not? We'll give it a shot. Unfortunately, they dodged. Shame that. And Sirius just attacked 7. Paranoid son of a bitch. Well, hopefully this battle will end very soon, because let us be honest, let us be honest, Trevor is not in a position to take more, and Sirius has, as well as rabies, the Fitz has gained rabies. Now, diseases are weird in that they can have bonuses as well as negatives. Like for example, the Fitz, we are incredibly inaccurate at the moment, because between the Fitz and the rabies, Sirius is not accurate. However, the rabies has also boosted his damage and the Fitz has increased his speed. Which...
Perched at the very precipice of oblivion.
Ooh, this isn't good. I'm afraid that if Trevor gains 3 more stress, he will die. Which, considering that at least 3 of our party members...
This is no place for the weak or the foolhardy.
We've had our first casualty. That was not
Decimated.
expected. That was just unfortunate, honestly. But this is a game where such things happen. It's not great, but
Annihilated.
we do what we can.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Now we're gonna do something else that someone has reminded me that we can do, because you can actively choose to lower your torchlight.
Secrets and wonders can be found in the most tenebrous corners of this place.
See nothing. Well, it was worth trying. Unfortunately, it was trapped.
Driving out corruption is an endless battle, but one that must be fought.
So we've had our first casualty. That's not good. And Sirius appears to be inclined to contract as many illnesses known to man as possible. Well, at least Ritz has gained Weald Adventurer, so... Well, that's not bad at all. But... let us see what has transpired.
She has paid dearly for her freedom, and deserves better than this place.
We have just gained one of the DLC classes that can be introduced, the Shield Breaker. Who, let's have a look, in this case, our Shield Breaker is an early riser, so 2 speed of torches above 75. They are calm, so first round is they do less damage. And they have a love interest, which means they will only visit the brothel for stress relief. So we will be taking her on.
Swaying. She mesmerizes her prey before the final strike.
So let's see what has happened in the meantime. Let's see, the Warrens and the Cove have been discovered. We have the Weald has been advanced a little bit. So we will now be able to start making progress towards unlocking the first boss. We've unlocked a new building, the sanitarium, which is a very good thing because Sirius is a very sick man. And it appears that Reynold has returned from his holy quest. Let's see. Hang on, Okay, so sorry I haven't seen this little addition before. Miss Lanner was filled with hope after communing, so that means she has gained a bonus to, at least if only this time, to removing her stress. Which has meant that she has recovered from 69 stress and is no longer fearful. Which is a good thing to have. Unfortunately, our caretaker has taken over the... has decided to take over the praying room, which is unfortunate since we kind of needed to de-stress. But first, let's have a look at the sanatorium. The sanatorium allows us to do basically two things. We have the option of dealing with quirks, and option of dealing with diseases. What the quirks means is we have the option of removing negative quirks, or locking in a positive one. Because as characters level up, they can fill up on quirks, and when they gain a new one, it will replace an older one, which can be bad or not. Now, at the moment, we're going to be investing in medical
The front
bits.
line of this war is not in the dungeon, but rather inside the mind.
Now, which disease to get rid of? Well, since Sirius will be off the front lines for a while, simply because we've got to get rid of both. I plan to get rid of both of these, and then actually send him to de-stress himself, so we can lose the paranoid trait, the paranoid affliction. Let's start with the fits. So he will be receiving some treatment. Let's see, what upgrades can we do here? Nothing at the moment. But we're going to take advantage. We're going to be dropping writs off to have some fun in order to stop being so afraid of everything. And as for the Abbey, we're going to do a little bit of an upgrade to the cloister, which is meditation, simply so that we have a little bit of benefit, so that Seven can take their time to calm down, to find peace within themselves. Now, as for yes, we should probably see the graveyard now that we have a casualty. One of our 16 has been taken by Trevor Yarnell, the Secret Arms, who had a heart attack due to unsustainable stress. Unfortunate. As we can see from that little grave marker, the higher level they go, the more fancy the grave can be. But it does give a little summary of just how they died. Though, usually they'll mention where. But I might be wrong on that one. It's been a little while since I've seen a death. But yes, unfortunately the Trevor the First has passed away, but let us see what we can work with in the new that's coming in. Let's see. We've got two new classes to show off. First we have the Abomination. The Abomination is something of a special class since they have a transformation, which means they have all of their abilities unlocked available to them at once. But at first we'll start off with our human form here, who gains the abilities of Transform, our Manacle ability, which makes him a stunner. It does damage and doesn't do some stun damage. He has Beast Bile, which allows him to give a solid blight attack. And he has Absolution, which is not only a normal heal, but it heals stress, which is fairly important because of the transformation. You see, the Abomination here is effectively a werewolf-like creature, and can transform into said form at will. Unfortunately, doing so tends to freak out the rest of the party and causes him quite a bit of stress himself every turn. Because, well, he has become an inhuman monster. So he can do but in exchange for that, he can do a fair bit of damage. In this case, our friend has a much higher max HP for being tough, and a hard noggin, which gives him stun resist. In return, he has a torn rotor, which lowers his the damage of his melee attacks a bit. So his transformation is a bit weaker than what would normally be the case. He also gains stress when fighting against humans. However, we also know that someone has taken an interest and decided to claim it. In this case, Olway has decided they wanted an Abomination, and we will be bringing him on.
Tortured and reclusive. This man is more dangerous than he seems.
Let's see who else we got. We have another Hellion. In this case, one who does increase damage to ranged skills. Has been a witness, so they won't partake in prayer. And they are obsessed with material things, considering that all of their attack abilities are melee. This benefit isn't really useful to us. Moving on, we have an occultist who is a ruin scrounger, which increases their chance of scouting in the ruins, and a warrior of the light, which increases damage when above 75. They are also tone deaf, so they receive less from Inspiring Tune when it's used as a stress heal. Which, honestly, isn't the worst we've seen. He still has his heal, which is good. And our last and new introduction, the Jester. The Jester is one of the game's stress healers, in that they have abilities that can heal stress. We also have... We also have Eagle Eye, so their ranged skills are pretty good, and they're a Kleptomaniac. Let's see if we look into their abilities that we're starting off with. We've got a Stab, we've got Melee, we got one ranged, Melee, and Inspiring Tune, which, as we've seen before, a number of our people can benefit from this one. So we will be bringing our Jester friend along.
He will be laughing still at the end.
Though we are going to have to give him some decent training. But yes, well, let's just have a quick look at if we can do some upgrades. It seems at this point no, since we have a lack of crests to really upgrade the weaponsmith. Or blacksmith in general, because weaponsmithing and armorsmithing are two different fields. And the furnace just reduces the costs of actually doing it. But that will be enough for now. I'm Brightops, and I look forward to hearing from you.